everybody. Welcome. I'm Ed Finn, assistant professor here in the School of Arts, Media, and Engineering and the Department of English, and director of the Center for Science and Imagination. And along with Dr. Todd Ingalls, Dr. Kenro Kusumi. We just met Dr. Kenro Kusumi. We're very pleased to welcome you all to the Undergrad Honor Thesis Defense for Patriarchal. And what we're going to do today is Pat is going to give us about a 30-minute presentation on his thesis. We, his committee members, will ask him some challenging but interesting questions. Then we'll open it up for questions and brief comments, but good questions are also very welcome from all of you. And then we'll ask everybody to leave while the committee deliberates, and then we'll bring Pat in to tell him the results of this process. Pat has also thoughtfully brought some food and beverages over there, and so if you'd like to grab a snack before we get started, can you please feel free. So without further ado, I'll turn things over to you, Pat.
Hi everyone, my name is Pat, and I'm excited to present my thesis today. And my thesis is on Bio-HCI Toward Interfaces between people, computer, and biological systems. So, let's get started. So, when I talk about Bio-HCI, the term HCI is a word that I use a lot, and some of you might question what exactly does it mean. Well, to understand that, we need to kind of break down a little bit and think outside the box. That's why I have a projection system. This allows us to kind of expand our thinking. So HCI stands for Human-Computer Interaction. It's a field in computer science that focuses on understanding how humans interact with computer and the technology system. So historically, HCI has been built as this whole area. We have the nature of human and computer interface. We have different contexts of how computer can be used. We have the computer systems, and finally the interface architecture. So this thing has been proposed in the 90s to kind of theorize the field of human-computer interaction. And this field is very impactful. In 1985, there's a paper that you may not be able to read here. This one, multi-touch on the sensitive tablet, which is one of the very first paper that introduced the concept of touchscreen as the way to interact with computer. Or another paper in 1986. This one was one of the very first paper that introduced that in the future we'll be able to kind of control computer using our voice, like talking to humans. So you can see here that these papers are historical, but what they have is the vision of the future. And I would argue that HCI is always thinks forward and holds an interesting idea of how humans might interact with the future of technology. But what happened with HCI now? Now HCI has expanded tremendously from just computer science to all these areas, from robotics to education to art to healthcare to even food preparation. And this is due to the ubiquitous nature of computing, which allows computer to tap into so many areas of our life. So right now, if I have one picture to kind of explain what exactly is HCI today, I will shoot this picture. It's from the Meta Cookie project. It's kind of interesting. These researchers, they were interested in the idea that in the future, can the computer mediate our food experience? So they make a prototype, a weird one, that have different test tubes and connected to different stands and system. So when the person chooses if they want to experience having chocolate cookie, then the computer kind of mix all the chemical in the test tube and then deliver it to the person. The reason I choose this picture to represent HCI is that it represents something that is so playful and experimental. You can see here that it's not going to this thing. It's not going to be a commercialized product that looks like this. In the future iteration, it might look nicer, but it represents the tension and the concept that in the future we can do more computing. And because of that, HCI is at the intersection of technology, design, and imagination. And it manifests itself in the form of prototyping. And because of that, the future of all of these areas will be in HCI. So that's the HCI part. Now, let's focus on biology. I'm a biological science student, and I love nature. But, and some of you might already know that the reason I am because of the dinosaur brings me to biology. And maybe because of the Jurassic Park inspiration, I'm always interested in biology beyond nature. The fact that we're able to kind of design and manipulate biological systems is fascinating to me. And it has been the theme of my investigation since I came here to Arizona State. And one of the first projects that I did, when I talked to Dr. Kusumi and proposed that I want to do something interdisciplinary, we came up with this idea of using DNA and bioinformatic information as a way to kind of create generative art pieces and music. So this has been the first project that I did. And I think one of the reasons that I was drawn to art and trying to connect art with biology might be because art has a lot of freedom and it allows us to kind of express in a different way. And it's reflected in what Nori Oxman proposed. She wrote about Krebs cycle of creativity. Normally, Krebs cycle is a cycle in a biological system where it produces ATP as a result. And ATP is the energy that different organisms use to kind of continue living. And Nori Oxman said very beautifully here, and I would like to read it. She said, in this Krebs cycle of creativity, the role of science is to explain and predict the world around us. It converts information to knowledge. The role of engineering here is to apply scientific knowledge to the development of solutions for empirical problems. It converts knowledge into utility. The role of design is to produce embodiment of solutions that maximize function and augment human experience. It converts utility to behavior. And the role of art is to question human behavior and create awareness of the world around us. It converts behavior into new perception of information, representing the data that initiate the Krebs cycle of creativity science. At this Cinderella moment, when the hand of Krebs cycle of creativity strike midnight, new perception created by art inspire new scientific discoveries. So I think this is beautifully written, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to art when I was trying to think about biology outside of nature. And another investigation that I did with the concept of biomimicry is to create a digital project that allow people to suffer from malnutrition to kind of capture insect mimicking the strategy found in nature. And this might be one of the most well-known work of mine. So since I was drawn into this area, I've experienced different fields and the intersection of all of that, from bio-art to biomimicry, biodesign, ophilia, and synthetic biology. But until recently, that I've been able to combine the notion of bio and HCI together, and combine the strength of biological system, design, computing, imagination, and prototyping together, that I'll be able to do something that is kind of and yes, and that is how I would like to propose the prototype that I made and the ecology that exists in the future. So let's go to the future. Next. So this is my vision of the future and the ecosystem, different prototype that I made throughout the years that I've been here at Arizona State University in collaboration with people here and who are the futuristic research group of Free Lab and beyond. So this ecosystem can be different. You can see the dinosaur thing, and you can see people having different biodigital system. And these prototypes are initiated by just a simple process of asking what if question. What if the dress that you wear can sense your inside biological information? Or what if you wake up in the morning, you don't need to think about what food you get, it read your mind and be able to produce food for you. Well, or what if in the future you can kind of read your genetic information, like reading DNA, like reading file from hard disk. Or what if we can kind of change the physical property of different living things by just saying it, like casting a spell on organism. Or what if we can download different genes into our body, like download different apps to our phone and kind of expand our capability. So this idea, we're conceptualizing two different methods that I'm going to talk about, from individual process, thinking about it, or a workshop, working with different people, or live participation, engage with virtual people online. And this leads to the idea of prototyping. So I'm going to go into different projects and share this assignment. So the first project, thinking about having a rest that responds to biological system and biological information inside your body. This was my mentor that kind of came up with this question of, like, the world population is declining, especially in Asia. So what if we have a wearable device that people can wear and be able to send signal if they are healthy and be able to kind of have baby. So this question kind of start off this project, and we were able to do it by having the thermal sensor that we can kind of triangulate that to get the hormone level, and connect it with the Internet of Things device. So you can see here, this is the design of the platform. However, we kind of, expand our imagination a little bit further than just, designing a regular wearable sensor. We want to make it fashionable and kind of, get us to the future and stretch the imagination. However, when we do it, this project and start having conversations, showing the prototype to different people, there are questions about whether having this kind of system is a kind of profession, like you're becoming an animal that has been monitored through sensor, or it's a kind of empowerment because the person that wears it will know the information. Or can we really separate the concept of empowerment from the concept of oppression? Like you gain something and you lose something. So these projects start off as an investigation, trying to make something that is functional become something that is speculative and lead to bigger questions. Another prototype here that deal with food, and we have food in the back. Someone people can kind of have it, otherwise I need to take it back to my office. Yeah, so this deal with the notion of food and the future of food production. If you look at the trend here and see the human food preparation process from 1650 BC ago, and now we kind of see that we spend less energy in getting our food, from hunting mammoth and use a lot of energy to now just go to Subway and just get it. We don't really need to spend much energy. What if in the future, we don't spend much energy at all, we just think and then the food arrives? How would that look like? So I'm team at FreeLab. We prototype a 3D printer that can print food and also connect that with the BCI device, which is the brain-computer interface, that we're able to kind of read human emotion, classify it through machine learning algorithm, and then connect it with the 3D printed food. So if you're happy, then we kind of print one certain kind of food for you, and if you're sad, then we print another kind of food. So this notion of just thinking and having food is what this prototype represents. And sure, it also raises the question of, what if in the future every food is personalized, you don't need to get the food educated at all, you don't need to have the tournament for that. And it also brings the awareness of, because the food is created based on your emotion, this also serves as an object that reminds you of what emotion you have right now. However, I talked to this guy, Adam Moshe, here. He's also asked the question that I never did before, like, is this a kind of cannibalism? Like, we are eating what we produce, the extension of our body, and we eat that. So I think that's a very interesting question that is prototype raised. And what if this prototype become a commercialized product, how do we deal with people that spend their whole life mastering the process of making food? I think these are the great questions that we need to think when we make a futuristic prototype. The next prototype that we made here came from a very simple question. What if we can kind of read a file and read DNA and genetic information like reading file from hard disk? We know that 1 gram of DNA can store a tremendous amount of information, and it's very large compared to what the hard drive can do. And we see the trend that the price in DNA sequencing and reading DNA sequence from organisms are decreasing from early 2000 to now. The price is extraordinarily decreasing. And we also see the trend that bio device and high-tech biotechnology are becoming decentralized. There's movement of DIY bio where people do genetic engineering in their garage. So when we combine all these trends together, we design a prototype that captures the sense. We call it DNA IO, which stands for input and output. This device is supposed to be a personal DNA reader and writer that we're able to kind of add new DNA into your body and kind of be able to biofab the biomaterial you want to create. And it actually matched with the vision of George Church, who is one of the influential figures in biotechnology. And when I talk to him, we also have this vision of wearable DNA sequencer. So we kind of have the same idea. And what we did with this prototype is we think beyond. Thinking of having a personal DNA reader and writer is cool, but what can we do with it? That's what we explore. We, after we have this prototype solidified, we think about different ways that humans will be able to transfer file, and the consequence of having file inside the biological body. What if you have a bad information that you can put in your hard disk, but now you can store it in your cell? Would that change the way you think about yourself and information? And we decided that it's kind of fun to kind of think about this, but we also want to extend our discussion beyond me and my thesis committee. So we host a workshop that invite people to come and think with us on the future of DNA computing and biocomputing. And the participants in the workshop came up with great idea that blew our mind. For example, this guy, he imagined that in the future we have a DNA reader and writer device. We might have some sort of like biotech religious, where the code here we illustrated this idea there. Take the DNA from different people and kind of mix it all together and distribute it back, so people have a shared genetic information. The area of biotech and religious is interesting, and I never thought of that. Or this person that talked about the idea of extracting DNA information and convert it to music, and she wrote a script here showing a person in the future saying that, oh, my DNA is not cool, it doesn't produce great music, I need to go and change my DNA makeup so it can become a musical rock star, because now your DNA is your musical note. And it's very interesting because it changed the way we think about this biological system. And we even think beyond that. We say, oh, okay, this platform is good for having conversation with physical people that we can reach in our circle. What if we kind of do it online and make an app store? So we continue our discussion and make a platform that kind of responds to this question. What if in the future you kind of download different genes into your body and like downloading apps from App Store? Of course, the biological knowledge here is not there yet, but it's great to kind of speculate about. So we made this platform called Bio App Store, and you can actually access it now at bioappstore.org, where people can share their biological app, basically an app that kind of extends your capability, like downloading app to your iPhone or Android. And it's combined the thing that we're talking about, the AI project, with this app store. And we have great story and great app that is on there right now. From an app that inserts gene into your body that allows you to kind of grow horn like elephant or deers, or the app that be able to kind of change the genetic makeup that change your hair color. In the future, can you imagine having an app that you click download and it insert the gene to you, and then in a couple weeks your hair start to change color. Or an app that allows you to kind of mix banana and blueberry together and create new type of food. So this platform allows us to think beyond our technological capability and speculate on the future. Yes. But I think the biggest question here is, what does the prototype tell us? Why do we make all this crazy prototype that reflects something? Isn't that because we think that the future is awesome? Or isn't that because we think that the future is doomed? I think it's neither of that. I think we make prototype because it's helped us to have a critical thought on the impact of these things that we build. From the idea of oppression, we have greed versus empowerment, to the idea of what's happened to the future of food if 3D printing becomes the norm. Especially when we think about biology beyond nature, we are dealing with the biological material that also includes us. And the power of the design, computing, imagination, prototype allow us to kind of convert different part of HCI, the human part, the computing part, and interaction together. And I think this is important. And what distinguishes Bio-HCI from normal type of HCI, because in the regular type of HCI, computer and human are separated, but now these two things are the same. And that's why in the framework that I propose in my thesis on the framework that allows us to think about Bio-HCI, I also have the part here that talk about imagination, the ethical consideration beyond just the technical part of the HCI. So this framework is what I developed as the conclusion of my thesis. And also in the spirit of Murray Oxman Krebs cycle creativity, where the Krebs cycle produce creative energy ATP, I propose another framework called the Kelvin cycle of prototyping. Normally, Kelvin cycle is opposite of Krebs cycle. It take the energy and produce the product, which is sugar. So the Krebs cycle, the Kelvin cycle of prototyping highlight the importance of asking the radical question that lead to the creation of radical idea through prototyping and radical interaction, which at the end lead to a new speculation about the future and it inspire the next questions. So, in the conclusion, my thesis, I have developed these three things: a lot of prototypes, and the theoretical framework that kind of frame all these prototypes as the Bio-HCI, the extension of human interaction field, and the framework that allow us to prototype the future and be able to kind of quickly think through it, the Kelvin cycle of prototyping. And of course, I not have done this alone. I think many people here, I have their picture. It's like these prototype and project and ideas are collaborative. I think that I'm surrounded by an amazing group of people that allow me to kind of think further and encourage me to explore new territory and think beyond. And I think that this is just the beginning of Bio-HCI. Once bio and digital intersect, I think a lot of interesting things will emerge. And of course, we need to be critical about them and think about the consequences that we never thought about before. And I will end here with a quote from one of my favorite people, one of my favorite artists, Salvador Dali. He argued that the future will be soft and airy. And I think it's really the reflection of what's happening in the future of Bio-HCI here. We see the bio and digital system intersect. And part of it will be biological system and it's soft and hairy, part of it will be digital, which is very helpful. And therefore, I will end my presentation here and welcome all of you to the future that is soft and hairy. Thank you very much.